Is now a good time to buy real estate in Canada? Well, I found a Reddit article. Of course, all of these things always seem to turn into a cesspool. I don't know what it is, man. Like, real estate now, like the question of if you should buy real estate has almost become like a liberal versus conservative argument. Like, people just get pissed in these comment sections. So anyways, I'm going to go through this today, and then I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the question after we cover what this Reddit article is basically saying. So the Canadian housing market in 2025 is in unfamiliar territory. Price growth has slowed, listings are staying up longer, and uncertainty is keeping both buyers and sellers in a tense standoff. Now when I have conversations with sellers, it's like almost half the time the seller will get instantly combative with me when I tell them the price of their home, right? They will start arguing right off the bat. No, I have this, that, and the other. This person, I got the renovated bathroom. They don't have that. So, it's very interesting to see where sellers' mindset, like it's been getting worse and worse. I'd say like the sentiment of a seller over the last couple of years. Before, people would be disappointed when I told them the price, and then they would just go call another realtor and list with that realtor and sit on the market for 3 months with that realtor. But now, I guess because they're hearing it from a couple different people, a couple different realtors, now when I have these conversations, a lot of them are getting like instantly combative and argumentative. With interest rates still relatively high and affordability at historic lows, many would-be homebuyers are asking a question that feels more relevant than ever. Is now a good time to buy, or is it smarter to wait? This very question recently sparked a heated and wide-range conversation on the Real Estate Canada subreddit. The original poster in a thread titled, "Is anyone else holding off buying right now to see how far the market falls?" shared their frustration over $1.4 million price tags for unrenovated homes in the suburbs and posed the question plainly: what if we all just waited? The responses revealed a country deeply divided on real estate, not just as an investment, but as a way of life. So, I just did an evaluation this morning for somebody else, and you can get in Langley City like 10,000 square foot lots for like 1.2 now. It's an older home that needs a bunch of work, but these homes were probably like 1.7 million bucks at one point. So this guy says, "I just can't justify trading my $2,000 a month rent for $4,000 a month mortgage. I do not want to enter the market, but I want to be financially responsible. He says, I do want to enter the market, but I want to be financially responsible about it. Meanwhile, I'm putting the extra $2,000 in investments." This sentiment is grounded in reality. According to RBC's latest housing affordability report, it now takes 60% of a household's income to carry a mortgage on an average home, near record highs. Even with prices softening in places like Toronto and Vancouver, affordability hasn't significantly improved because higher borrowing costs are offsetting price declines. So this is the buy versus rent debate right here. And on paper, renting almost always looks better, right? On paper. My beef with this is like, I have been an investor in the stock market for probably 8 years now, and I only just started making money like 2 years ago, because it's way harder than how it looks, right? Like, it's easy enough to say, oh, just buy the S&P and forget about it. Look at all of the things that have happened over the last 6 months. It is so easy to log into your account and hit the sell button, right? Like tariffs, World War III, there's always something every week, some reason, and then you go and watch a YouTube video that kind of floods you out of your position. It's very hard to just sit there and continually buy the S&P every week in the face of all of this negative news, right? So on paper, it looks amazing. To actually do it and do it successfully, where you're making money and outpacing the would-be returns in real estate, it's harder. It's harder. Like, I research all day long. I watch videos, I read articles, I do all this, and investing in the stock market is hard for me. And I have thousands of hours invested in learning about these things, right? So imagine somebody who doesn't put the extra time in and pretty much all their free time learning about these things to try and be successful in the stock market. I mean, that's pretty much why 90% of people, and I don't know what investments he's putting his money in, I'm just going to assume it's probably that. That's why 90% of people lose money in the stock market. It's because it's simple, not easy, right? This sentiment is grounded in, I already read this. So, but not everyone sees renting as the better deal. This guy countered that a significant portion of that 4K goes into an asset that probably appreciates similar to stocks. It's a classic rent versus buy debate, one that depends on time horizon, risk tolerance, and location. So here it has appreciated similar to stocks in the last 10 years. I think our average rate of return is about 7% year over year. The difference with real estate is that you need to live somewhere, right? You're going to spend that money no matter where you live, right? But I think what everybody forgets about, because like I post these videos sometimes, and I talk about real estate returns, and the comment section is always the same. It's like, yeah, but if you adjust for inflation, these people haven't made any money. Well, that's not true, because your money's leveraged at 5x, right? So if inflation's 3% and your home only goes up 2%, well, you still made money, because that's not a 2% return. It's actually a 10% return because your money's leveraged at 5x, right? So, I would say it probably appreciates better than stocks when it's performing well, right? When it's not performing well, like right now, it's definitely not appreciating better than stocks right now. So I guess it just depends on which time frame you're talking about. Prices won't drop more versus brace for desperation sales. Maybe desperation. Some Redditors believe the floor has been reached. Prices are not going to drop any more than they already have because no one is willing to take that much of a negative on their house. I don't agree that that would be the reason why prices won't drop. At a certain point, some people just need to sell regardless of what the price. And if they can't afford to sell, then the bank just takes the home and sells it at the lower price anyways, right? So he could be right. I don't know. I don't think so. I think prices are going lower in the next 6 months. But even if he was right, I don't think that would be the reason why. He'd be right for the wrong reason, right? But that's not what everyone is seeing on the ground, especially in Ontario. Cracks are forming. Speaking for Ontario, I'm seeing lots of big losses here from people who bought at the peak. I am too. Seeing it on Twitter every day, like 3, 4, 5, 600 grand losses. Most will avoid. So that, right there kind of just like shits on that argument. Most will avoid if they can, but don't forget about divorces, deaths, job loss, interest rate hikes. These situations can cause more desperation. Their point, sellers don't always have the luxury of waiting. Of course, every seller wants top dollar, but if they can wait years to sell and fewer buyers are willing to pay top dollar, then some sellers will accept a lower price, they added. And over time, that keeps decreasing comps. Indeed, the Canadian Real Estate Association recently reported that national home sales were down 19% year over year in April, while active listings climbed 35%. When more inventory chases fewer buyers, prices often follow. The danger of timing the market and missing the boat. Yet, there's a deep countercurrent of wisdom urging buyers not to try and outsmart the market. Every one of those buyers that was going to wait is now kicking themselves. A real estate agent from Alberta, they'd be sitting on 50 to 100K in equity today if they had bought. And that's probably true for Alberta. My whole thing is I think prices are going to keep going lower. I don't know when it's going to get better. I have no idea I shouldn't say that. I have an idea of what would make it get better. But the reason why people say don't time the market is because our market is heavily driven on sentiment. And the sentiment can change like this, right? And you don't know the bottom was the bottom until after prices have already started going up again. And when prices start going up again, basically the circumstances that cause the prices to go up is when you have properties that have competing offers and the price starts getting bid above the asking price. And then the next comparable sale might list above the last comparable, right? And then maybe that's in competition and that price gets bid up too. So the reason why people don't want to time the market is because by the time we figured out it's the bottom, you're already back to competing offers because you don't know it's the bottom until the prices are going up again. So I agree with not timing the market, right? I agree that things could get a lot worse. It could also be close to the bottom, right? I don't really know. And that's why I don't, come on here and call a crash, even though every single data point that we have is really, really bad right now. Her advice, the right time to buy a house is when you are financially capable of doing so and want to move. Time in the market always beats timing the market. This is echoed by Savage Taco, who shared a cautionary tale. I thought the same thing, waited 4 years, paid 100K more than I would have if I bought originally. So this guy says, see today's market for what it is, a reckoning point. Sentiment is truly bad in core areas like GVA and GTA, and it is. They wrote, condos are showing the cracks first, but it'll spill over, and I still think there's more downside coming. And I'd agree with that. Their logic is grounded in macro forces. Household debt to income ratios remain among the highest in the OECD and OSFI, Canada's financial regulator, recently flagged mortgage renewals as a key systemic risk. Meanwhile, immigration and housing supply policies continue to add pressure and unpredictability. Still, blank isn't advertising paralysis. They're advising preparation. If housing continues to slide a bit into more affordable territory, be ready. there's a lot of sideline people waiting with big cash savings. Yeah, I talk to a lot of these people. Almost every day I have conversations with, like, the conversations that I have with buyers. I can't tell you how many of these that I've had. They call me like, hey, we're thinking of buying. We kind of want to get like a 3-bedroom townhome, this, that, but we're thinking of buying in the next 6 months, or we're thinking of buying in the next year, right? I have more of those conversations than I do with, well, not more than sellers. I talk to a lot of sellers, but I like very rarely do it. Maybe a couple times a month, I get a call from somebody who's like, we want to buy now. Right? Almost everybody's like, we want to buy sometime in the next 6 months. So I would agree that there is a lot of sideline people right now waiting with big cash savings. So then it goes on to say, know your why. The conversation on Reddit captures something deeper than numbers. It's not just about when to buy, but why. Is a home a place to live or an asset to maximize? Is the risk of waiting higher than the risk of buying in? Real estate remains local, personal, and emotional, but whatever side of the fence you're on, one thing is clear. If you're trying to time the Canadian housing market perfectly, you're not alone, and you're playing a game that even the experts admit is impossible to win every time. Some people, particularly those that frequent Reddit, seem to have forgotten that a primary residence is a home first and an investment vehicle in a distant second. So, my thoughts, is it time to buy? And this is what I would have to say, and I'm about to get, again, chewed up in the comments. If you are somebody who is buying on the notion that their property value is going to be higher in the next 2-3 years, and that is the primary reason why you are buying, then it is probably not a good time to buy. Because I would say that, probability speaking, there's a higher chance of your home being worth the same or less in the next 18 months, I would say. If you are buying because you want to live in a home, right? Now, I think is a good time to buy because there's lots of inventory available, lots to choose from. People forget whenever we talk about this, is it a good time to buy? People forget that there are a lot of people who buy real estate who don't care about the price going up or the price going down. The price going up is seen as a bonus, but it's like number 5 on their list of priorities when purchasing a home, right? Like, for an example, if you are a retiree who needs a specific product, right? Well, you probably don't care too much about the value of this home going up. Obviously, you probably care a little bit. Everybody cares a little bit. But again, that's probably number 5 on your list of priorities, right? If you are, a young family who maybe made a bunch of money on their first property, who is just looking for basically their forever home to raise their kids until they're 20 years old and move out, right? And maybe you need a bunch of things. Maybe you need a 5-bedroom house in this specific school district that has a coach home in the back and blah, blah, blah. You need that house, right? And if you go and try to rent something, maybe you won't find something that you like. Then you have to worry about getting kicked out, moving school districts, moving your kids out of that school district. And you want to worry about any of that. So you just want to buy, right? The price of that real estate going up might be number 4 on that list of priorities. So people forget that there are a lot of people who buy real estate where the price of it going up isn't the primary driving force to purchasing real estate. And that's what it was for me, right? I obviously want the price of my home to go up, but that's not why I bought the house, right? I have a basement downstairs and I don't rent it out. If my primary reason for buying this home was to make money, I'd be renting out the basement suite, right? It's like number 4 on my list of things. I just wanted a very nice home to live for the next 10 years. And I know if I live here for 10 years, the value will probably go up. But in the next 2, the next 3, the next 4, whatever, I'm prepared for the value of this to go down. So to conclude, if you are somebody who is buying real estate for the sole reason that the price is going to be higher in the next 2 or even 3 years, I probably wouldn't buy real estate. I'd probably buy Amazon or Meta stock. Not financial advice. That's probably what I would do, right? However, if you are buying because you want to move out of your parents' house, you got a divorce, you blah, blah, you want a place to live and you want it to be nice and you don't want to be rushed while you're doing it, and you're okay to wait 5 or 6 years for that home to be worth more, like maybe the price of your real estate going up is important to you, but you're okay with waiting 5 or 6 years because you plan on living in that home for that long anyways, now is a good time to buy. Now to add to this, right? Because it really depends what you're buying. Like, I do think some product types will start going up as early as next year, right? If you have a cookie cutter, run-of-the-mill concrete condo, that might keep going down into next year, right? I don't know. but it depends what you're buying. And I also want to add, like, if you're a first time home buyer, because I have a few of these clients at the moment that are kind of looking at this $400,000 range, and they all ask me the same question. Are prices going to go much lower than this, right? I don't know. What I can tell you is the price point that you're buying at, that 400 grand, kind of around there, pretty much the entire buyer pool can afford, right? Almost everybody's income can afford the $400,000 purchase price, especially if they're buying with a partner or whatever, right? So I don't think there's going to be very much downside in that segment, right? There's going to be more downside with like condos over 600 grand type of thing, right? But when you're talking about condos at $400,000 where, you know, most of the buyer pool can afford that, and it's already in decently low supply, you're probably not going to see that much more downside for a product like that. So if you were a first-time home buyer looking in that range and you want to move out of your parents' house, I'd say I would probably pull the trigger now and not think about it too much. I mean, even if home prices came down 10%, you're talking about $40,000, probably not going to ruin your life. But again, not financial advice. So there's my thoughts. Going to get a couple unsubscribers for this one, as I do every time I say anything positive about real estate whatsoever. But if you enjoyed the video, you can like and subscribe. And if you want to chat with me about buying or selling in the Fraser Valley, link down in the description. I am that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.